Super Rugby Friday games, folks. Reds, Chiefs, FORvBLUs, both very close games. I guess could be decided if some kicks had gone another way. It could have been a different result, but either way, 2 wins for the Kiwi teams. I've watched both games. We'll go through some key events, some stats, and upcoming fixtures. You guys can let me know your thoughts. The first one, Reds and Chiefs. It's only a conversion. That's the difference. Both sides score 3 tries. Both sides get a couple of penalties, but it's 2 conversions and 3 conversions, so the Chiefs managed to hold on. Cards in this game, unfortunately, 2 yellows and a red will be a little bit of a talking point, and a little bit of a kind of weird, just strange way the TMO ref the game, I guess, from the box. But anyway, I mean, early penalties for each side, neither really able to get on top. It's 3 points apiece. There's a fair bit of drop ball. It was a bit of a tough watch early on. It's 6 points apiece with more penalties. You do get the first try through Wilson on 32 minutes, kind of powering over from close range, but it's the most bizarre TMO call I've ever heard, because he essentially says to the ref, the player has no control, but there's also no separation. And that's the end of his line. So the ref's kind of like, what are you telling me here? And the ref has to work through it. I don't know if the TMO was asking the ref if he wanted to give the try. Usually you just give the clear instructions, right? It was bizarre. Why even mention the no control thing if it's not relevant? I don't understand. I really don't understand. But either way, the try's given. So it's 13 points to 6. The Chiefs kept knocking it on before halftime. There was a head clash with one of the Reds guys hitting one of the Chiefs guys in the head, but he was clearly bent at the hips, which is at least consistent with the referee. And they keep telling guys, if you bend, you're not going to get punished. You need to get lower, get lower. He got lower and there was no punishment, so that was at least a little bit pleasing. But, that being said, 47 minutes for REDvCHI's try is still the first half. Clock was like 46 something, almost on 47. So, yeah, the Chiefs managed to even things up before halftime. It was a scrum. They managed to go blindside, and then a great conversion from Gatland in the scheme of things. Pretty bloody important. Halftime run meters are 175 to 317. The Chiefs have got more, but the Chiefs have knocked it on 7 times to 1. And kicks from hand is 20 to 14 with the Reds putting a fair bit of boot to ball. Second half, there's so much smoke hanging over the ground at halftime. They must have let off the old fireworks, and at one point the ball gets kicked up. I swear everybody loses sight of it. They don't see it come back down because all the players just miss it and it just drops to the floor. Like, honestly, some weird stuff that goes on the rugby field, eh? But yeah, unfortunately for the Reds, Tupou didn't come back on after getting a calf injury at halftime, and the Chiefs managed to get some pressure, and eventually Takiaho managed to go for a try on 55 minutes, and the Reds saw yellow with Wilson for trying to bring the maul down from the side. He went to the bin. So, yeah, the Chiefs with the advantage at that point for sure. The Reds did miss a penalty during that yellow card period, but it actually worked out well for them in a bizarre moment where on the kick return, Tate McDermott just managed to find a bunch of space out in that right wing. I swear he passed that ball too early. He didn't draw in Tiatia, but then Fluke just manages to step Tiatia anyway, so it wasn't a fluke. It was pretty well worked. See what I did there? But, yeah, it was, just game on, eh? Pretty pleasing stuff. That's what you want. So they missed that conversion, which in the end is the difference maker, and it's 21-18. Chiefs' maul defense, to be fair, is very good, and the Reds get a second yellow card for a deliberate knock-on. Sometimes I honestly hate that deliberate knock-on rule, eh? Because basically if you touch the ball one-handed, you're going to get yellow carded if you don't regather it if it's, on opposition ball, eh? And that's what happens to Jock Campbell. It seems pretty innocuous, but they ruled that it was disruptive, but there's still no penalty try because there was plenty of Chiefs cover. But, yeah, it's one of those ones that I think turns a lot of people off. Because, I don't know, I watched women's games a couple of weeks ago in the Six Nations, and they didn't yellow card every one-handed attempt. They were a bit more, I guess, flexible. And sometimes you see guys do one-handed regathers that seem impossible. Often you hear the ref say something like, you're not in a position to regather it. Wow, sometimes you got to question that because you've seen players regather some bonkers stuff. But anyway, his hand just gets in the way. I think it was more reflex. But anyway, that's the way the game's ruled. And yeah, it's another man down for the Reds. Sowakula goes over during the yellow card period, powers over from a metre out. You're not going to stop him. At that point, it was looking like the Chiefs have got it pretty much wrapped up, 27-18. But they get a red card through Finau, some shoulder to the head. Not that different from the Reds incident earlier, but he's more upright, so they say that that's red. And the Reds, man, punished. Good hands. They find the space, and Paisami manages to go over. So, yeah, it's only a 2-point game, 27-25, but that's the way it finishes. Chiefs are able to hold on. So, really good game. Losing bonus point for the Reds. Chiefs get a win at Fortress Suncorp, which is not a bad thing. The Aussie commentators ruining the fact that the Reds kicked away too much ball, but Brad Thorne was at halftime anyway, not having a bar of it. He was basically saying, that's the game plan. We're going to stay in the game. Run meters finished 389 to 513. Chiefs have got more possession, 57%, more territory, 65%. Reds have got more kicks from hand, but not by that many. Only 5 more, 32-27. Penalties conceded 15-8. The Reds were too many. But yeah, McCright, he's busy. He almost scores a try at one point, but also 17 tackles from 18. Not a bad shift. Quinn Tupai out in the wing, but also coming into the midfield a fair bit. 114 run meters. 4 defenders beaten from him. Good stuff from the Chiefs. They're home to the Brumbies next. That'll be a tough game. And the Reds will host the Highlanders. So that's going to be one that the Reds probably need to win. The next one, the Force and the Blues. I didn't watch this live because it was on at midnight. But goodness me, I watched it without knowing the result this morning in NZ. Thankfully, I didn't know the result because this one absolutely went down to the wire. The Blues were supposed to go in and basically mop the floor with the Force, weren't they? Because the Force have had to disrupt the build-up with their COVID cases. They've finally managed to get a team out. Blues made a bunch of changes, go over to Perth. And the Force started really well. 3-0 early. Blues give away like 3 quick penalties within 5 minutes. They get yellow carded. Derry goes off. Angus Gardner's not having a bar or nothing in this game. Force go 19 phases with advantage. And they eventually score the first try through Mataele out wide. But the Blues' defence, to its credit, held for a long time. And it kind of becomes a theme of this game that the Force, at times, have to really grind through a long way to break that Blues defence and can't always do it, despite their chances. But yeah, it's 8-0 early, which is a pretty bloody good start for the Force, to be fair. But during the yellow card period, the Blues managed to kick a penalty, so the yellow card finishes 5-3, so the Force only end up 2 points up from the yellow. And yeah, then the Blues actually, they start to wake up, man. They go a bunch of phases themselves. 14 phases, Derry goes over, Roger Tui fires a check, and Anton Segner, good work in the build-up for that one. Probably Roger's best game, I think, for the Blues thus far. 10 points to 8 Blues in front. Akira Ioane powers over, gives Robertson the big don't argue. I mean, Akira's a big unit, so he's going to make a lot of people look pretty silly, but that looked a bit too easy. 17 points to 8. The Blues are really starting to look good, and that was from turnover ball. And then AJ Lamb on the right wing, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck with the offload, makes it 22 points to 8. They did miss that conversion. But look, that's the final scoring for the Blues. The Blues don't score any more points after that. And that's on what, like 29, 30 minutes. That's a wee bit concerning if you're a Blues fan. But I mean, the halftime lead is fine, 22-8. Zahn Sullivan's been impressive with his boot at the back. Yeah, so it's looking all right. And then second half, Medrano, the prop for the Force, gets yellow carded for killing the Blues ball. So it's absolutely time for the Blues to put the Force to the sword and go for that bonus point. Right? You're 22-8 ahead. You got a man up. You're supposed to be winning this game pretty easily. So here's the time to get it done. But do you think the Blues get it done? Not at all. If anything, the Force step up during that yellow card. They take a long look at an Eklund tackle to see if it's like a shoulder charge to the head, but they rule in the end there's no foul play. He's probably a wee bit lucky to get off with that one because it's a bit of a lottery these days. But then, yeah, man, it's the Force. Thrush goes over from close range after a big period of pressure, to be fair. 22-13, still not quite game on, but that's another misconversion, isn't it? Force, a little bit the masters of their own demise with a few points. Like there's one point where they get a penalty, but then after the whistle, one of their guys comes in with some off-the-ball stuff, and then that gets the penalty reversed. So the Blues kind of get a bit of a get-out-of-jail-free card. Like given the scoreline, that's kind of one of those moments that you look back on with a bit of with a bit of regret. And then Abra's try on 76 minutes, another one from close range where they got some pressure, and the conversion hits the post, which keeps it a 4-point game, which means the Force have got to score a try. Like, they easily could have kicked a penalty or a drop goal to win it if they had a smaller deficit. But the fact that it's 4 points and they have to chase the try is probably the losing of this game. They go 10 phases after a line break. They get advantage, but they offload it into touch. So the Blues, with a minute to go, line out, kill the game off. Line out's not straight, and the line out had been having struggles against the Force. They lost like 5 of them. So, yeah, gives the Force one last chance. The Force end up going 26 phases. 26 phases. But they can't break down the Blues defense. The Blues get a turnover and the game is over. So honestly, with that second half performance, the Blues defense won it, but the Force probably should have been able to pinch it, especially if they kick their conversions. This one is a matter of kicking a penalty because the Blues were offside. So the Force have to go for the line out. They go for the drive. They go through 26 phases, so that they could have just taken an easy penalty to win it. But because they had to chase the try, you give the Blues the chance to defend for it, and the Blues do it. I mean, to go through 26 phases and not concede any penalties, that's pretty amazing on its own. But yeah, the Force, man, they probably should have won that game, honestly, at the death. The Blues' second half just not into the races, Possession, 62-38 for the game. Second half is 74% Force. That's what I'm talking about. Run meters 480 to 283. That's the Force. Clean breaks 8 to 3. That's the Force. Defenders beaten 27-15. Force. Tackles. Blues make 214 to 119 for the Force. So almost, well, not quite double, but yeah, a lot more tackles, man. Like, Blues defense had to hold. Turnovers conceded as the one, maybe 18-13. Neither side's going to be happy with that. 18 turnovers conceded is a lot. But for the Blues, 13's not that far behind 18, but the Blues only had 38% of the ball. So they shouldn't have as many turnovers considered as that. Pretty sloppy in the second half. The line-out wasn't good. 8 from 13, the Blues, whereas the Force were 13 from 13. So, yeah, it's one where the Force did better than expected, so they can be kind of pleased that they took on the top team and could have won it, but you'll still be pretty gutted you didn't win it, The Blues just thankful to hang on, man. I almost couldn't watch that at the end. I wanted to fast forward it because I knew I'm watching on demand. I can fast forward it, but I didn't. I just sat through all 26 phases, hoping the Blues would hang on. So, Strawn, 6 defenders beaten. Pasitoa, 5 defenders beaten. Kunzel, a couple of clean breaks. Papali'i, 22 out of 23 tackles, although he does concede a couple of penalties. Tui Vasashek, 12 tackles attempted, 11 made, and has a try assist in there as well. So, Blues take on the Rebels at home, back in NZ, and the Force doesn't get easier, home to the Crusaders. But yeah, honestly, 2 pretty interesting games in that they both went down to the wire. But the results, be it the Kiwi teams getting the win, is maybe what the pundits or the bookies were predicting, but maybe a bit closer than what was thought. But anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts on these games, and we'll look forward to the Saturday games in a few hours. You guys take care. I will talk to you guys again soon. See you later.